Hello there, welcome to the third live list building session with myself, Birdie, from the Birdie's World YouTube channel. If you have joined the chat, just feel free to message and offer me some suggestions. In the meantime, I'm just going to have a quick look at a couple of lists that I'm interested with at the moment. So to get us started, hopefully you can all see the screen here. Please confirm if you can or not as well. Going to start with a bit of Birders Horde. So I was looking at tournaments for the beginning of next year, and there is a tournament at 650 that I'm eyeing up. Now, most lists that I own don't play at lower points brilliantly. Most of them want to be 700 plus. So 650, I think Birders Horde can work pretty well. I always want 2 chieftains in there. I think you do need the extra might from an Orc captain. To go with Birder, to give you a bit of an extra threat in his warband with him, I think you want a hill troll. I always think you want 2 monsters together in a list that do help protect and defend each other. And then, yeah, we need to fill out his warband. So considering they want to be your hitting power and you want them to hit hard when they first come on the board, I'd say you really want to get 2 handers in there. Back them up with some spears. Get yourself a banner in there as well. And then maybe 1 Warg Rider with shield and throwing spear. Just gives you a potential knockdown if you can get them into the same fight as Birder. It's quite difficult to set that up, but just with the base sizes being as big as they are. But I think it's still worth taking. Just the cheeky throwing spear as well can do something for you. Now, this warband, you want to fill that up. That's going to be walking into most likely bowfire, so you want shields at the front. And we're already at 597 points. So I've only got 50 points remaining here, so it's a bit tight. So a couple of extra orcs, and I'm only left with 17 points at this. With this, maybe the Warg Rider. Let's do them just with throwing spears, no shield, and I've got 18 points remaining. Still not ideal, that though, is it? So 30 points remaining here. I'm thinking I want a few wild wargs in the list to give you a little bit of cheap mobility. And there you go, 39 models. Have to let me know what you think of that. 9 might on the board. You've got a really threatening warband to come on here. You've got 10 shields. You can put them in a double rank of 5 and 5. Followed by the spears at the back, protect that warband on the way in, a little bit of cheap mobility with each of the Warg chieftains. They can flank, hide behind terrain, wait for the right moment to strike once Birder's on the board. So really you want to be setting yourself up for turn 4. Set yourself up so turn 3 they can come on the board, and then turn 4 you can jump on them, potentially envelop them, pincer movement, anything like that. Anyway, any of you that are on here now, if you want to just post in the chat, let me know if you have any lists you'd like me to look at for you and what points level, and I will try and get to them. Sneaky Beak, shout out to Army of Lake Town. You'll have to explain that comment. Is it an army that you're running, you're enjoying using? 500 points? Yeah, we can do that. Let's have a look for you. So, Army of Lake Town. So, a lot of the faction details, because a friend of mine plays this, you really do want the master in the list. So, he can give you the fight 4. So, you want to get him in there. I think you do want Alfred. He can lead troops in this warband, so it makes sense you take him. You're saying only 500 points, though, so we've got to be careful with this. I think Braga makes sense to take. You can actually get Killian Philly in here, though. So if we look at Braga, let's have a look. So he's fight 4. Within 6 of him, he'll automatically pass courage tests. And they count as getting dominant 2. Now, it's relatively useful, that, but then... Can these guys still lead troops? They can, can't they? I think Tauriel, personally, is the one I'd take. You get Tauriel in there. We're at 195. I'm being careful because I know we need to fill up these warbands. You need a lot of troops for this army to work. We've got Bofa in this list. Two-hander. That's not really going to be in effect. So I think Phil is the one with the throwing weapon. I think he's the one I'd take. He's pretty cheap at only 50 points. And now we've only spent 250 and we've got all this warband space. So let's get the Lake Town Guard in there. So for now, let me just even up the warbands because you're very limited to the troops. So I think I'll put the bows in their warbands because it doesn't matter that those 2 warbands move quite slowly. You want to be more aggressive with... Oh, they can't lead warriors. I'm wrong. Okay. Can't do that then. My apologies. Let's go 7 and 7. Now, with that in mind, then I think we're going to need Braga in the list as well. Then, so if we went for Braga, get some more Lake Town Guard, we can make this one the slightly more aggressive warband that you'd ideally want to put Tauriel in as well. Can I get an extra bow in there? Maybe. No, I'm going way over 500. What am I doing? 498. It's a pity it doesn't work out quite perfectly for you. Lower that down to 6 as well. No, still too many bows. Because what else would we have as a choice? Like, is Braga that important? Lake Town Captain. Hiya guys in chat. Sorry, I've not been ignoring you there. Alex Taylor. Glad you enjoy the videos, mate. And Pelennor with Gandalf is so much fun. And great you're trying to use Angbor because he is an interestingly improved profile this edition. I've had fun using him. He's got to be played very carefully, but yeah, very, very good. I've been using Halbrad a lot as well. That's Fearless Banner's really nice. I'm toying with the idea of Aragorn with Angbor myself. We can come on to it if you want. I do feel like Pelennor does miss a Fight 7 hero, and Imrahil is far too expensive. I think Aragorn does make sense. We can come on to that. You'll have to maybe think about what points level you'd like me to build towards, and we'll come on to that next after I've finished off with this 500 Lake Town in a moment. Glad you liked the Sweden video. That was one I was excited to release to you all. And yeah, I wanted to try something a bit different. And it's a second passion of mine. It was kind of nice to bring the 2 things together. So yeah, in general, I think that if you've got a higher numbers army, it gives you more contingency in games. If you lose move-offs and things like that, it's harder for your opponent to tie everything up, in which case you still then get to counter move things and it's a bit more engaging. If you run very low model count lists, I find that you lose a move off and then you just end up not moving that turn and it's a bit annoying. But yeah, Pelennor, I think you still want to get your numbers up to a certain level because you want to make sure you're not getting your Minas Tirith boys trapped, because as high defense as they are, if they get trapped and you're having to shield all the time, 1, you're not doing damage yourself, but 2, you've got the problem of getting trapped and them getting dragged down quite easily with a lot of dice coming at them. And Jord of the Rings, are you into the West, bud? Into the West, that's the one at Cardiff in January, isn't it? Is that right? It's only 450 points. I think that's what it is every year. That's what really puts me off. I'm not a big fan of low points games. Correct, Mundo. There you go. Yeah. Yeah, I had seen it. It's a long way for me to travel as well. It's a 7-hour drive from Leeds. So I'd have to stay over somewhere, but 7 hours is a long way. As much as I'd like to, if it was higher points, I probably would have done. If it was 600 or higher, I probably would. Just not a fan of 450s. Are you going to eat yourself? What are you thinking of bringing, if so? Do you want any help with list building? And okay, Alex, 902, I'm assuming that meant to be 1,000. We'll come on to that. So going back to what you were commenting here, Sneaky Beak, this is quite difficult to get your spot on the points. I can drop another bow. Get you 35 models. I think that's how I'd have it. I don't think you can take Tauriel out of the list. I think you need her in there because the list really suffers from having anyone that can hit and do damage. The way Lake Town wins, and my experience, I've played against it many, many times already this edition because one of my best friends that I play a lot of my games against in the area, he loves Lake Town and Survivors of Lake Town, and what we've discovered is Survivors of Lake Town is the better of the two lists, whereas Lake Town lacks hitting power. Tauriel is really the only hitting power you've got that's reliable. She is stuck at strength 4, but the fact she's fight 6, she can strike. She's got the extra 2 shots with the bow as well. It's strength 3. 3 might on her is really nice, and then the threat of anyone trying to surround her, making her even more dangerous. She's very, very good. You need to win with this list with sheer weight of numbers. You need to use your weight of shooting to bring them towards you. It's not amazing shooting, but you've got a good quantity of it. And then you want to just surround them and trap them. The key thing is, and I think this is maybe a mistake my friend makes when we do play, and he is learning from it, is he needs to bring his numbers to bear. And the only way you do that is by aggressively flanking and trying to envelop and surround your opponent. If you engage them in a frontal fight, you're generally going to lose because the low fight value of your army. Yes, you get the buff from the master, but fight 4 on a strength 3, defense 4 troop is still not amazing. It's got rubbish courage as well. There's other issues with the army. It's not the most competitive, but I really approve and appreciate you trying to make a difficult, not so competitive army work. You can win games with it. You can also win on scenarios quite well. And with Braga having the rule that makes them dominant, that helps quite a lot as well. So you just need to protect him because he is your late game piece to help everyone. Anyway, I hope that helped for you. If you just want to have a quick look at it on here so you've got a view of it, that is kind of what I'd recommend. You want these 2 warbands to maybe advance slowly, 3 inches at a time perhaps, or where they are, depending on the scenario. And then this warband linked up with Tauriel to be slightly more aggressive. That would be my advice to try and make that work as best it can. Anyway, welcome to the chat there, Jake and Ara Ojko. We'll get on to those that you're suggesting in a moment. Glad you like the videos, and I'll try and explain things as best I can. So Alex, let's get on to yours then. So if we look at Pelennor, so Pelennor is definitely one that I love myself. When you were talking about Aragorn, are you still wanting to try and get Gandalf in as well as Aragorn? That's probably the first question I've got for you. If you were going to take both of them, I'd say you probably want Gandalf as the leader, being the more survivable, rerollable fate and all the extra fate you get with Pippin and Shadowfax. And it means that Aragorn is less likely to be as targeted by the opponent. You definitely want Pippin and Shadowfax for Gandalf. 100%. Recommendation is you do a heroic combat using Gandalf's free combat or using Pippin's actual single point of might. And then after the combat goes off, whilst you're moving him, before you charge him back into someone else, you drop Pippin off somewhere during that movement and set him up for somewhere that will be useful for you to have a heroic combat the next turn, and you can use his free one. So you always want to take that combination. Elven Cloak. Now, with Aragorn, right, I think most people would automatically take Anduril as an auto-include. The only thing I would say is Aragorn as standard comes with a hand and a half weapon. And if you put him into fights carefully, and he's on foot on a small base, he can generally get into fights with support. I would say maybe in this list, because of how expensive Gandalf is and Aragorn are together, you can't afford to waste 40 points on Anduril. I would just leave Aragorn as he is, take the Elven Cloak to protect him from a bit of shooting, and even magic and stuff potentially. And don't take Anduril. And if you really need to do damage in a fight, take the hand and a half weapon and two-hand with him. Also, if you were considering Angbor, like you have said, you've got another hitter there. And that's another good point as well, Alex. You also do have the possibility you can just call a heroic strength with him, in which case you'd be strength 8 with a +1 to wound if you two-hand. So I think it's a little bit of a trap in this. You get it with Elisar, which I think you need to, because he's around on his horse. You need him to hit by himself. But in this version, I think to have a 165 cheap Aragorn that's 5/7, 3 might, and a free point every turn is amazing value. And then let's get in Halbarad as well, with the banner, obviously. So that now gives us a lot of warband space. We have spent nearly 600 points, though. So I think we want Warriors of Minas Tirith. They are essential as a very good front line for you. Get 6 of them in there. With Angbor, there is Clansmen you could take, but the profile's been a bit nerfed this edition because they no longer treat Angbor as a banner. They just get to reroll 1s if they're near their hero. But they're only 1 attack now. Their courage has been reduced based on what it was previously. Their intelligence is absolutely awful. Apparently, it's not intelligent for a man to wear a skirt. In their case, a kilt, obviously. But they do have the two-handed weapon. But for 1 point more, why would you not take the Axemen? The Axemen still fight 4. They've got defense 5, not defense 4. And you can two-hand. You can choose to just fight with their hand weapon, or you can use them as a space support. So it maybe is a little unthematic. I'd perhaps take one Clansman maybe. Then take 4 men-at-arms of Belamroth. They would stand behind Angbor on the Clansman. And then you can fill out the rest of the warband with Axemen. That would be my advice there. You've got a really good little hard-hitting... I always talk in all my videos about running reserve forces behind the line. This is what I would suggest. This is your reserve force. So we have your main shield wall here. The only problem you've got is we don't really have warriors we can fill into these, because Aragorn and Halbarad can only lead rangers or warriors of the dead. Are you wanting warriors of the dead in there as well, Alex? So we can fill out more of this. I'd prefer to get some knights in there, if I'm honest. I think they're good value. We're up to 910 points now. If I go to there, you've got 20 points remaining. We can get another 2 of these in. It's a bit low on model count, but you've got very survivable guys. Got a good reserve force. Your might's very good. You've got 3 combats, but that still feels like your numbers are too low. I think really you need to be running at about 1,000 points. But in which case, you maybe need a hero that can give you more warband space. You could always upgrade Angbor into Hurin for an extra 30 points if you get him in the list. But if we go to 1,000 points, I think this might be the way to go, because you can always put as well these Axemen behind some Warriors of the Dead. So if we get them a shield, because you want these on the front line, they also provide you amazing courage. Let's drop another knight. It's only 11 points now. I think you do want them in there. Yeah, I've screwed myself here, haven't I? Let's make that 2. We can always do that. 12 points remaining. I'm trying to see if I can squeeze in another knight. If I take out a knight, another one of them in, we're now at 12 points. It's not going to quite work, is it? We can always do that. Something like that, 42 models at 1,000 points. Considering how high your defense is here, that seems pretty good to me. You'd run the 7 Warriors of the Dead. with this one extra man with the shield and spear, with the axeman behind them potentially. You could always just run these tin cans on the edge of your formation, like 3 or 4 on each side. They can prevent you being flanked and they can shield. You can put the Warriors of the Dead at the front with the shields behind them. You can still keep this as a complete reserve force and your hitting power. And you can choose where you kind of want to break through your opponent. That'd be your line to engage. And then Gandalf, along with this, you can assess whether down the middle or the left or the right flank of your opponent is their weak spot or where this scenario needs you to go. And then you can send this force in to do the hitting power. And then this lot gets in the way. 3 knights to go with Gandalf. They can slingshot off him in his heroic combats with the mobility that they've got. You've got 12 might plus a free one. A very good magic caster that gives you an answer to most things. Yeah, I think that's a pretty good list. If I owned Warriors of the Dead, I would be interested to build this sort of list myself. Even without them, I am considering this sort of list myself. I think you're onto the right sort of track there. Yeah, I think if you were going down to 900, you'd have to drop Halbarad maybe and replace him with just a normal banner. You would lose the Fearless, however. I would consider, Alex, just a consideration for you. Think about Irolas. If you take Irolas and Citadel Guard, you've got Bodyguard built in. So if at any point you think you need to drop Halbarad, consider trying to get Irolas in, and it gives you some Bodyguard troops. So if you came up against a really horrible terror army of some sort, like Angmar or Black Numenorians, you've got an answer to it that can still reliably charge. Because Warriors of Minas Tirith by themselves won't charge very well, especially against a Harbinger. You've only got a 42% chance. You could also take Fall on the Fat. He's 90 points and he's not as big a hitter now as he used to be, but he does have 3 might, and he brings a Warhorn for you, which could also help deal with if you don't include Halbarad. Anyway, we'll leave it on that one. I'll go back up now to the top. So hopefully you're still there, Jord of the Rings, and we can get on to what you were talking about before. So good luck at your first 100 going into the West. Sadly, Eagles have been banned and then Dragons have become the new meta. I think the Eagles list needs banning until it gets FAQ'd, and the Dragon profile just needs banning for now. It is a bit too overcooked for what it is. So going down, next one I've got on here is RR Ojko. So hopefully you're still here, mate. You're looking to run Minas Tirith with Faramir, Denethor, and a Bolt Thrower. 500 points, I think that could really work. You've got some good value choices there. Let's have a look at that for you. So we'll have Minas Tirith, Denethor, Faramir. Bolt Throwers are great. You want the swift reload on him. I think you would be best taking Faramir mounted in this one because he provides the +1 fight value bonus to them. So you want him charging with cavalry. Just looking down the rest of the messages, so I'll try and keep up with all of these. So Thomas Fulmit, Battle of the Bywater is the better version of Shire in terms of more fun and not oppressive. The actual Shire list is absolutely disgusting to play against, and another list that I would prefer to see banned at the minute until they deal with how broken Gandalf and his cart are, and Lobelia. There needs to be some sort of resist to those, or even like a dodge mechanic of some sort. I don't know. It's just, it feels horrendous when you get your tournament ruined when you draw that Shire list at certain scenarios and all your heroes are just shut down completely. Jake, you've got an idea about running Pelennor as well, Gandalf with Pippin, of course. Minas Tirith Warriors with Imrahil. Now, we could try and build that for you in a little bit if you'd like, but it is, it's not the best value. Imrahil has been pretty destroyed this edition. He's still a good profile. He's just too expensive. And the Knights, I love the Knights. They're some of the best looking models in the game. But their profile needed some love and it got absolutely none. If anything, it just got worse because they're still as expensive as they were. And other stuff like Men of Minas Tirith and Knights of Minas Tirith have all been pushed up to match them, but are much cheaper. So there we go. But we can come on to it if you'd like. And Doodah, we did discuss about the double list for Rivendell. Well done. You won it. That's amazing. Fantastic news. Did you end up going with the lists that we discussed, or did you make any little tweaks to them? You'll have to tell me how you did. But congratulations to you and your teammate there. Fantastic. Hopefully it was a bit of help from this that assisted you with that. And you now want to play at higher points games. So we can have a look at that for you as well. Yeah, if you want to look at 600 and 800 points as like a total list, we can do that. Yes, Alex, there, yeah, Citadel Guard. They're on a D5. You've got to remember that. So I think you need to be picking their fights quite carefully. But having some reliable bodyguard in there, also some strength 3 shooting. If I build a list with Irolas in it, I do 6 longbows, 6 spears. So the warband can operate by itself, or you can get those spears behind your main line with Irolas to give you a little 3-inch killing bubble where they get +1 to wound from him. And the 6 longbows can then just do their own thing, sit on objectives, and because they've got bodyguard for you, they'll guaranteed stay around for you. Enjoy the rings. You're here for the long haul. Fantastic, mate. Okay. Painting Raddy on foot. Are you going to be painting him on Eagle as well, or on the sleigh, or is that your plan, just taking him on foot? And okay, RR Ochko, here we go. Let's have a look. So Denethor, he is nice and cheap. He's also upgraded now, so you get 2 might with him, which is excellent. Faramir. So we want some knights with Faramir, but let's get this warband for Denethor filled up. So you want to make sure he's nice and protected. So if we just go with the 6 and 6 initially. Now, there's no sort of banner in this list. There's no built-in banner. I don't think there is. So you've got your Palantir. Faramir passes everything and has to charge. And then he gets +1 and he's got Fearless. Okay, but there's no banner. So you are going to need a banner in this list. There is always the approach of sod the banner. We'll see. I don't think this is an army that really, really badly needs a banner. Perhaps Faramir and his knights charging could do with one. Maybe that's how I'd do it, perhaps. If I was to take one. Let's try that and see what we're like for points. So we're already at 469. But your model count's going to be low, so you're not going to have that much of a warband space anyway. So I really want a load of knights in there. I think you maybe sod the banner, you know, it's too expensive. You're paying 40 points for a single knight on there, and you've got such a low model count. I don't think we can afford to do that. I think it'd be better getting your numbers up a bit higher. Maybe we go for a contingent of them in his warband, perhaps. You can also get Citadel Guard in. I was not aware of that. Okay, that's excellent. So let's get some Citadel Guard in. So we've got 7 points left. I'm not down to 4. I can probably get another 2 in. 96. I don't like that. Is there an argument that we don't go for Swift Reload? If you don't, we can then get you more Citadel Guard bows in. And we can see what the points work out by doing that. I wonder if it's any better. No, it's not great, is it? Although we could do that. That's nice. 31 models are in there as well. That looks good to me. So RR, let's see what you think of that. So you've got a really nice, strong core contingent here with Denethor. You've got 3 Citadel Guard to sit on an objective for you somewhere. You can have a 6 Citadel Guard little flanking force. I'd probably have them moving up like 3 inches a turn. That'd guarantee you 2, not guarantee you, but if they're hitting on 5s moving 3 inch, they can do a little flank for you. Hitting on 5s, you should get 2 hits. So you've got 2 strength 3 hits a turn, providing a bit of a flank. You can have them kind of supporting Faramir and his flanking force here to do the hammer and anvil. You could also stay still pretty much. You've got a lot of shooting in here for a 500 point list. Gondor Avenger, Bolt Thrower, fantastic. Even without the Swift Reload, you've now got an extra 9 Strength 3 bows. That looks a very good list to me. You've only got 6 Might. That's probably my only slight concern. But 6 Might for 500 points is about right. So let me know what you think of that. That looks about right to me. I think that's how I'd build it. The reason you do them in 3s, by the way, the Citadel Guard, is you can just have them all in a little triangle touching each other's base, and then you can always shoot in all directions. So no matter how your opponent moves, you'll always be able to shoot without any issues and restrictions. Especially as a good army, it's something you've got to consider, because you can't just shoot through your own men. But the key to this list, in my opinion, is the Faramir and the Knights. You want plenty of them in there. At 500 points, that's a really nasty little hitting contingent. Fight 5 on the charge. The reload is really good, but at 500 points, even just getting a couple of shots at strength 7, and plus you've got all these extra Citadel Guard bows, I think that's good enough for you. I think the Swift Reload, because it messes around with your points and it's hard to then get to dead on 500, getting to 31 models where your opponent needs 16 to break, when everything is D6 or higher except the Citadel Guard. Yeah, I'd be quite confident about that. If I took that to a 500 tournament, I'd expect myself to have a good chance at the podiums, depending on matchups and what have you. Anyway, going back up then, let's have a look at this. So, Thomas Fulnick, we'll go back to your Battle of Bywater. You said a 750-point army, though. That is going to be a lot of hobbits. So let's have a look at this. So Battle of Bywater. So there's 4 auto includes in this. There's quite a few special rules with it as well. So you've got, I think, Frodo isn't he a banner fearless? Yes, he's a banner within 6 inches. That's really nice. He just can't make strikes or fight anyone. Sam can declare a free heroic combat. 2 attacks now is nice. He has got heroic strike. Interestingly, he's got heroic resolve as well, which is good. And he's got +1 to his strength, so not too bad. And then Pippin and Merry give you upgraded guys, I believe, don't they? Am I wrong? I thought he gave you the upgraded. Okay, so he gives you the unique Warhorn. Yeah, he's fearless. But that is it, isn't it? I thought they got some sort of Battling Brandybuck. There we go. So that's just for him. +1 strength for them. Okay, so you'd want to fill his warband with as many of them. I'm assuming that doesn't apply to the archers as well? No. So you definitely want all the Hobbit militia with him to be strength 3. They can't take 2-handed weapons or anything though, so that's unfortunate. Without the shield is D4, but he's your leader. You probably do want that extra defense on him just to protect you from any strength 2 shooting. Even hurls and stuff, at least they're only wounding you on 4s, not 3s if they tried to hurl into Merry. Something like that. 750 points though, there's a lot to get in there. Lobelia, she's still going to have her shutdown. I think you've got to take Lobelia in the list. She's too good not to. Rosie Cotton gives you another 6-inch banner, but you've already got one with Frodo, but I think you probably want another one because your line is going to be so wide anyway. Now, what do any of these others do? I know what some of them do. So that just potentially gives you 3 might. You can use one of his will to get a free move. I don't think that's amazing. Fatty Bolger. That's quite a funny rule. If he fails his courage, you can try again. And he's fat, so he's dominant too. I definitely don't think you want him in there. Will Whitfoot gives you the +1 fight value. But you're going from 2 to 3. It's probably not worth it. You can choose where to deploy. It's not amazing. Paladin, though, gives Tuckish Hunters, so I think you definitely want Paladin in the list. Paladin with all the archers, because they are the Tuckish Hunters. What else we've got? Wholefoot Bracegirdle, he's the Sheriff. So he can lead sheriffs. And I believe sheriffs are strength 3 or fight 3, maybe. Fight 3. So if you had Will Whitfoot, you could get them up to fight 4. But again, it's a lot of investment just to get them up to fight 4. Is it really that important for you? I'd say probably not. I think it's a bit of a trap, is that? Farmer Maggot's amazing, him and his dogs. He is the hitting power, and you can get some more guys in there. And then Baldo Tulpen, he's the one that can do the automatic wound, I think, isn't he, with his stones. You also get the traps, but I think at this point we just need to start filling up your warbands. So let's get 12 of them in there, and I'll keep putting 3 archers into each warband and see where we get to. I think we'll be pretty close to the 750 mark by the time we get these filled up. Maybe 9 so I can get some bows in each of those as well. I think you're really turning yourself into a bit of a shooting army with this lot. So at 690, he's already leading. He's got space for a bit more, but we're not going to get to 750. I could probably get another hero in. If I just reduced a few warbands, could maybe get Paladin in there, or you could get the Sheriff Leader in there. I think Lobelia is quite important to the list. Reduce some of these warbands because we've got a lot of troops in there at the moment. I think we can afford to get more heroes in. So if we get at least one more hero in there, they give you the hitting power, which you probably need. Yeah, Farmer Cotton's not providing a huge amount. It can be it can two-hand, but that's about it really. Yeah, I think I'd go for Wholefoot Bracegirdle just to give you the sheriff, so you've got some fight 3 and some hitting power. But we'll knock off some more out of other warbands. They're 5 points to 4 points. Got 24 bows in the list. I think that's probably about where I'd go for it. So you've got 11 might on the board for 750 points, pretty good. 24 bows. You've also got all the throw stones as well. Battling Brandy Bucks makes sense to give you more strength. You've got more hitting power here as well when they get in. Farmer Maggot's bit of hitting power. Paladin gives you the reroll. You've got 2 6-inch banners. I think that's got to be the way to go for it if you were going to try. It'd be interesting to see how you could do with that. Have to let me know what you think of that then, Thomas. So going down a bit further now then, so just looking at the chat. So dude, back to you then. So we've got Rivendell we were talking about. So 800 points, because you can always scale down quite easily. I think it's more scaling up that's the you want to try and figure out. So if we have a look at Rivendell. So I think we had this conversation last time. I think personally I'd always go Glorfindel, Arwen, Eristor. That is the initial 3 I'd go straight for, and you're at 355 points. You may be then lacking a bit of March. You could get one of those in. Have Eladon or Elrihir got March? I'm assuming they don't. No, you've got Defense and Strength, and then both of them have Strike. Because they would be quite interesting picks to put in there. And Eristor's not as good as I thought. There was one thing I overlooked. He can re-roll wounds of a 1. I thought it was re-roll all fails with his throwing weapons. A bit like the Hasherin, but yeah, I was wrong. So maybe not Eristor. unless we also get in the elf captain. We're going to 800. You've got mobility with them, especially if you're going to take a knight or two. So I'd be quite tempted to put Eladon and Elrahir in here. But I maybe... Would I take them with horses? It's a lot of points for horse. They don't have Horse Lord either, I assume. No. Does Arwen have Horse Lord? Curiously, she doesn't. However, Asphaleth is a hero mount, so they can share each other's fate anyway, so she doesn't really need it. I think I'd be tempted to not take them with it. Because it does say while they have the infantry keyword, they get these choices. I kind of like the fact you get to be quite picky with them. If you want to do some damage in a fight and you've got a load of additional help, you can use them as the hand and a half. I'm going to do it like that. I think we can use them as your main shield wall. So we have a 6 and a 6 there. Maybe go down to a 5. And we can get the banner in there as well. Or maybe 4 and 7. And then we get the banner in there as well. Because really, you'd probably have those two on the front line. So it'd be those two plus them is 6. 6 of these to support. 1 to always stand with the banner. I think that's a fair way of doing that. Glorfindel's got more warband space, so let's make another little warband for him. So let's do 4 of them initially. Let's see how that works out. We're at 23 models. I think we can go higher. Let's go to 6 with him. Now let's make them quite balanced, the warbands. Let's put some nice symmetry in there. We also want to get some bows in the list, don't we, as well as some knights, perhaps. So 3 of those. Let's see how this works out. I might add more to that top warband in a moment. $773. I would have liked to have tried to get some knights in. Let's change this then. You still want some bows in the list. I think we want some knights with her. And the bows. Ah, yes. I've got too many bows up here. So we'll get rid of the bows from his warband. Ah, okay. If I get rid of one of those, yeah, the points aren't going to work out great, are they? And it feels low numbers. Maybe it's not the right play having them, but they seem like pretty good value. And if I drop down to Eristor and the captain, that's 155 compared to their 160, and I think they offer you more. I don't think you need the march, considering you've got some fast-moving heroes anyway. And if you only went with one hero, you'd be too low on might, I'd say, and I wouldn't want to play with such a low might list. Got me a little, not stumped here, but I'm thinking, what would I do here? Because I would like the knights in there. They give you extra bows. You need them for the hitting power. But yeah, we're getting to a bad points level. Get another one of these in. It's not good, is it? We end up at 21. It's a direct conflict. Let's get rid of them. We could always go all in on the 3 big heroes, but then you're paying a lot for them. I don't think that's the right play. Linde's only got the 1 might. That would put me off there. You could always get in a Rivendell Stormcore, and you've got 1 chance of... You've got a channel, and then you've got 2 will you could use for something else. The casting on a 3+. Colwyn's could be useful. Maybe. So I don't think he's a great idea for you. I don't think you need it as well as you've got Glorfindel anyway. Let's try it with a Stormcaller. Let's just see how that works out. So if we build this here with 6 of these, give him a little bit of protection as well. 3 of those and 3 with bow. We're now at 807, but that was with 3 knights. If I drop that down to 2, we've got 8 bows in the list. It does feel a bit low. Make that 3 and 3. We could then probably get in 3 elf bows, and we'd probably spot on the points there. Yeah, almost. That feels pretty good. Let's have a look at that now. Yeah, I think that would probably be the way to go with it. We do want the shield on the knights. Yes, you were right. I just missed that. I hadn't selected that option. Yeah, you did Elrond Arwen captain. Okay. His foresight points are really nice, but his profile is very expensive, and I think Glorfindel is better for basically the same points. Arwen still gives you the Wrath of Brunans, and with Elrond, you're paying for his Wrath of Brunan, but he's only got 3 attempts at it, and Lindir I don't think is a good enough profile to get to take. So yeah, I'm not sure. I think I'd go with something like that. You've got a march from the captain. Stormcaller can give you just a little bit of something quirky to deal with problems. You could knock a Balrog prone and then send Glorfindel in with a lot of threat. And might's okay, 8 might, 11 bows. You've got the knights as well. I'd be inclined to go with that. 39 elves at 800 is difficult. It's a good amount of them to have. I think it's either Arwen or Elrond. I don't think you want to take both. And I would say Glorfindel for me is the auto-include. How do you downscale? Okay, so in terms of downscaling it, if we're going to your 600, as we just said there, take the Stormcaller straight out, 100%. We're already at 670. You probably need to just drop some bows out. So drop the bows out of her warband there. I think we never put a banner in the first list, did we? I apologise. So you'd have to have dropped a couple of numbers, but we'd have still got you to it. Rivendell with a banner. Yeah, it's difficult. I've maybe dropped the 2 knights, which feels strange. For 600, no, I think you just got to go 2 heroes if you're doing that, which would be these 2 for me. So have him with a big warband of normal guys. Plus a banner, I should say. You can still get 3 more bows in there. Too many bows. I thought Rivendell Knights didn't count towards your bow limit. Am I wrong? Yeah, I thought they didn't count towards it. But I must be wrong. Because it is counting, isn't it? It's probably too many knights for my liking, that anyway, to be fair. $628 models. You're a bit down on might, only having 5, but you've got the Wrath of Brunans to do the damage for you. Nice warband there. These 2 shields. would just be on the flanks of that formation, on the left and the right, just to help shield. Got some 6 bows in there, 3 more from the knights. That's a nice threat. Really massive hero for them to deal with, and Arwen's pretty survivable with heroic defense. You've got to have Elrond for knights not to count, is that right? Interesting. Another reason to take him. You're slowly convincing me, perhaps. I think for 600, I think that would be right to take. I don't think Elrond provides you enough of a threat. And also, he's more expensive, isn't it? Because if you take Elrond, stick him on a horse, you're actually paying an extra 10 points, so your model count will be even lower as well. Arwen is amazing value. I think she's fantastic. You definitely want to take her, but you're paying a lot for Elrond. If you look at what he does, compare his profile to Imrahil, for instance. The only thing you're getting extra is the Wrath of Brunnen, and you're getting a Lord of the West reroll, Foresight as well. And both of them is too expensive. Whereas Glorfindel gives you the Fight 8, which is such a threat now. He's got Horse Lord, and then Lord of the West as well built into there. And he gets +1 against monsters, which you are seeing a lot of. They are quite popular at the moment. Hopefully that's giving you some food for thought. And we can... Yeah, he does have rerollable Fate. Yeah, he does. Go on, you've convinced me. Let's just have a real quick look. And sorry everyone else. I will move on to the other stuff. I'll always make sure I get through everyone's requests, and I'll scroll back up. Let's have a look at those two together. So we're now only paying 280 points for both of them. But then 600, because elves are so expensive, he does give you extra warband space, which is nice. Maybe just 1 Riv Knight with him, let's see. I keep forgetting the banner, don't I? That's annoying. So we'll give her a knight as well. Get 3 more bows in there. So we're at 8 now. If I give that extra knight to her, and you just have an extra guy with a shield. So it's only 26 models, that. And you could get more in if you lowered the knights, but I think you actually want more knights in this one, because if they're not counting towards your bow limit, 10 bows, a lot of mobility as well. So you've got 4 knights plus these 2 that are mounted. You've got 6 running around quite well. What do you think of that, dude? You've got 3 bows in each of these warbands there. Quite nice to sit on objectives and do little flanking maneuvers if you want. Got the double Wrath, rerollable Fate on him, as you say. That could work okay at 600, I think. Again, I don't like this low might. I think that's always your problem in Rivendell, because of how expensive those heroes are. If you go up to 800, I think that's pretty all right. You're still going to be down on might, though, because, again, you could get a captain in there, but even once you've done something with his warband, just say you get another 6 of these in each. We're almost there. You could just do a little swap like that. You've got a really nice elite force of 39 elves, but you are only 7 might. This is always going to be the problem with the list, but your foresight should help with that. So there we go. Hope that helped. So let's go back up the chat a little bit. Sorry about that, guys. Dan Lewis, you're also going to it as to the event as well. Yeah, all waiting for that 1st Feb FAQ. They need to make it a big one. Needs to be quite a few changes. The game's amazing, and I love what they've done with the new edition for the most part. There's just a few profiles and a few lists they just really overcooked and got wrong, and they just need tweaking and changing. And if they do, they could very quickly make this an exceptionally balanced game. And even better than it already is. So just going down the chat a bit further. Sorry, just on the other screen if you're wondering why you're not seeing me doing anything. So Gundabad, you were thinking of trying to build Lord of the Rings again, Dan Lewis. For 450, it's really hard to do Gundabad. I did actually win an event with Gundabad at 500 points. It wasn't what you would expect though, so I actually built it with, it was 500 points, so not 450. But I think it was something a bit like this. So I think it was 2 berserkers in each list, each warband, 200 weapons on them as you should, and a warbat in both of these. And then I think I filled it out with Gundabad warriors then for the most part. So I did my usual thing where I go asymmetric with it. So we take a lot more shields than we do spears. Yeah, that was the list. There we go. So on paper, this doesn't look particularly strong, I'd say, but you'd be surprised with it. So the Gundabad captains are both D7 and fight 5, strength 5. The berserkers give you courage and mobility to go and get objectives. And if you need hitting power, if you really need to make sure you're getting damage through, you go into something in 2-hand with them. You've got 2 attacks at essentially strength 6. If you come up against any armies that have big heroes on foot, which is quite common at 500 points, where you see things like Khazad-dûm armies, you can knock things prone that they can't resist. You've got a really strong core of troops that will do damage and hold ground for you, with 12 Gundabads with shield and 6 with spear. And then the Goblin Mercenaries, you can either use them to drop on objectives or behind your opponent's line or where there's some weaknesses. And the mercs just help get your numbers up a little bit. They can space support each other. Yeah, you'll have to let me know what you think of that, guys. That's kind of where I'd go with Gundabad. If you were going down to 450, though, it is tough. So if you're going down to 450, I'd maybe lower the mercenaries down a bit. I don't really want to take out berserkers because they're so essential to the list. I'd probably just try and drop a Gundabad each. Something like that, perhaps. But then it makes me think if I drop another one of those... No, I can't get more Gundabads in, can I? I could drop 1 Gundabad to get an extra... There we go, I'm at 28 models. 28 models for 450 is pretty good, and you've still got a relatively solid core of Gundabads there. You've still got 15 Gundabads in your list. They've got to kill 15 to break you. That could work at 450. Right, Dan Lewis, yes. Thranduil's Halls at 650. Let's check that one out for you. 650. Okay. So I'm going to ignore this swine here because I don't want to promote that way of playing. It's not the optimal way to maximize victory points. He is, in my opinion, a trap. And then we want the glaive captain. That's the one with the glaive, isn't it? There we go. It's a heavy armor on him, definitely. Elf bow on her. Now, the elk is a lot of points. Personally, I really like it. I'll build you 2. What are your thoughts on it, Dan? Actually, before I start doing that, I'll fill out the other warbands. But would you like to see him on the elk, or would you like to run it without him on the elk? Most people argue that you don't want to take him on the elk because he doesn't banner himself and it makes him a bit more of a target. But that's a very pessimistic way of looking at it. That having him on the elk, if you carefully position him and use him well, I think you can really maximise the damage you can do. It's great having a really mobile hero like him at the end of a game to go and slingshot his way off to an objective for you. He also really buffs up the knights. So I think you really want to take these knights because they're only 16 points. A few options. Okay, Dan. Yeah, right. Let's have a look then. So I think the knights are good value. I'd want quite a few of them in there. The elf captain, we want him to have the normal warband. So if we go 6 of those, 6 with glaive. He said 650, so I need to be careful of points. If I took him on the elk, I'd probably only take 2 of those knights. Give her a little bow contingent. And let's try this. So if we had 2 of them with glaives, I would put maybe 2 palace guard in, something like that. Just so you've got 2 fight 6 you can put into fights as and where you want to annoy your opponent. And then we've got a sentinel. Maybe make this warband a bit smaller. I was hoping to get another knight in. If we're doing that, maybe that's okay. Points don't quite work out great, do they? And the model count's a bit low, so let's not try and get another knight in there. And we could probably just get an extra palace guard in there now. No, they're too many points. And it'd be probably a glaive guy then. It's only 29 models. I'm not happy with that. I want to get up to that 30 mark. I think you do want a sentinel in the list. I definitely want a minimum of 2 knights in there. Maybe let's drop the palace guard out. Yeah, we're still missing out a bit there, aren't we? You could do that, but then that doesn't feel good. Don't want to drop anything here. Dropping her bow would really help here, but then 5 points to have 2 shots on a hero with 3 might that hits on a 3. I think it's worth having. What do we do here? We lowered that down a little, but nah, I think you've got to keep those up. Let's try it with just the 1 elf knight there. And we can also then get in a palace guard. So I think that would be a good list for 650. We've got up to the 30 model mark. You've got a really strong centre there. The palace guard can go into fights as a space support to annoy any fight 6 heroes the opponent's got. This elf knight, I would be trying to get into fights with Thranduil together where they can heroic combat together. And you can slingshot it off to objectives late game. The Wood Elf Sentinel used to pull stuff forward for Thranduil and that Elf Knight to jump onto. That's why I ideally wanted maybe a second knight in there to be able to do that. If you go up to 700, I think this list would work better. Go up to 700 because you would really fill out the warbands nicely and you'd be able to get more knights in. There you go, you could do that. You could get rid of one of these glaives and turn it into not a sentinel. Yeah. Oh, not quite, not quite. Well, we've now got 6 of those, so you could probably downgrade one of those to be like that instead. for 700. That looks spot on to me because you've got the 4 knights there. You've got a lot more mobility and threat. If we're doing it on foot though for you, so you were talking about for your mate, you get him off the elk. I think it'd just be that straight away. It's very, very quick to do that. So you've got an extra knight in there instead. We've got the extra palace guard. You've got 6 backed up by 6 here, so it works out nicely there. Still got the sentinel, 6 bows. That would be the way, Dan. What do you think of that? You happy with that? No worries, you're welcome. I think I may have caught up with everything in the chat, so I need some more suggestions, please, people. It also means that you'll be front of the queue if you suggest. I can get straight onto it. What are you interested to see? Ah, here we go. Nice one. Evil Hobbit Army, 650. And then Lord of the Rings, yes, let's get on to Shadows of Angmar. Absolutely. Interesting one. However, if you've listened to any of my videos before, you can probably guess which way I'm going to go on that. Evil Hobbit Army at 650, the one that's probably the best. Sadly, it's not Azog's Hunters. I don't think Pits works amazing at 650 either. I've tried. You get a good amount of might in it, but you end up with just basically the 2 warbands because this is so expensive. You can get in a Hunter Orc Captain, but then your numbers aren't high enough. You're only at, it just doesn't work out well for the points. Their best points level is between about 750 and 800. However, the special rules do give you relatively good answers to stuff, so I will show you it. That's 370. If we're playing to 650, you're not going to get as many Gundabad's in as you'd probably want. So you want something like that. A spear and Gundabad with a banner. But then you look, we're already getting a bit of a problem with the numbers. So say you want maybe 3 of them, 3 of them, and then we've got points to then fill out with some Hunter Orcs. So maybe take 3 with a bow in that warband, and then just fill the rest with Azogs. I have to drop 1 bow, I'm afraid. It's only 31 models. Ideally, what you want to do is this is your core unit. Keep Keeper of the Dungeons at the back of it with plenty of in the ways. There's a lot of D6 there, which is good. I'd maybe even consider dropping the spears down, maybe going 10 and 4 instead. And then your Hunter Orcs, you want to keep them behind the lines on the way in, and then use them as your flanking force around the opponent's formation to get the 2 attacks around the back. You've got 10 might on the board. That's the big saving grace. 10 might, and all 3 heroes hit extremely hard. So that would be okay. I don't think there is a particularly amazing evil army in Hobbits that works at 650. Army of Gundabad, again, I love Bolg, and I'd always recommend you go with Bolg, but for 650 you just can't. It needs to be higher points. I think you could go with a really nice captain spam here. You've got yourself loads of warband space. Gundabad actually has extremely good quality. Let me just get rid of all that sex. I can copy them and make them symmetrical warbands. So if we get in maybe 3 berserkers in each warband, get yourself 5 of those, 3 of those, and a warbat. duplicate that 3 times. Might have got a bit too heavy on the berserkers. Let's just drop a few of them. And then what I do is get in a Goblin Merc Captain. And then maybe just drop the spears down 1. It's not quite working out as I would have liked. There we go, and go to there. Probably just drop in an extra berserker, just one without two-handed. But if you look at that there, that is a really high quality troop line. 39 models of them at 650. You've even got 8 might on the board. You've got a little mercenary trick here, 3 warbats, which are amazing for dealing with heroes. I'd say something like that. It doesn't look the most impressive on paper, but you try facing that and getting through all of that D6, fight 4. It's better than it looks. It would actually do all right. Gundabad, if you can hoard out Gundabad, it's really difficult to do, but when you do, it's very, very good quality. I think you've got to make sure you take a lot of these berserkers, though. They are your key to holding objectives and things late game. Anyway, next one we've got there, then Lord of the Rings. Let's get on to the Shadows of Angmar. So, Shadows of Angmar. You said, did you say a particular points level? I don't think you did you? What level would you like me to look at? And then Mark, hello Mark, welcome to the chat. Yes, by all means, we can get on to Kingdom of Rohan afterwards. I'll just look up this 650 for Lord of the Rings first. So, with Wither, of course, you've got Wither on Rudauer, I believe. You do. He's weirdly the only spellcaster in the game, I believe, that doesn't have channeling. And the only other things that have got Wither are the shamans on a 4+. I have tried this, just so you know, by the way. I ran Birder's Horde with 4 shamans, all of which have Wither. And I thought, maybe similar to what you're thinking, I can channel loads of Withers and I can probably kill stuff with it. And my very first practice game with it to see if it works, I faced a Dane Ironfoot who was strength 5, and I withered him to death. And it was quite satisfying. Took a few turns, but withered him to death. It did work. But then they offered me nothing the whole game, the shamans. I'd spent their might on all the withers. And what it meant was I had 200 points of shamans, and they'd spent the entire game and all their investment and everything they offered me in that game was put into killing a 170-point model who had managed to kill 4 or 5 of my troops before he eventually got withered to death. So the investment wasn't worth it. So I don't think you can do a wither spam, and I refuse to condone or build a Barrow White spam. This is a profile I want banning until it gets nerfed, because at 50 points, the fact it can still lead troops and it's casting it on a flipping 3+ is ridiculous. It needs unit capping, in my opinion. I'd say it needs the cast increased up to a 4 or a 5+. And it needs to be either an independent hero or it needs unit capping, depending on your points level. Maybe 1 Barrow White up to 600 points, 2 Barrow Whites up to 800 points, 3 Barrow Whites up to 1,000 points. And that should be where it caps off. You should not be seeing 3 Barrow Whites in a 700-point list, which sadly is what you do see at tournaments. It's very annoying and it's horrible to face. So personally, for the fun, I think this list can be competitive without needing to take them. That is 330 points. All right. I'm glad I said that to you then, Jord. Please, please, please do not run 4 Barrow Whites. Do not run 3 Barrow Whites. It's unnecessarily oppressive, and it's going to be a bit of a boring game for you other than gully jumping around. And every opponent you face is going to hate you and hate playing your list. It's not a fun experience at all. Yeah, sorry to... I think this is maybe the approach of most people when they first start using them. They think, oh, this looks like a good solution for me. The argument I get from a lot of diehard Angmar players is Gullivar's only fight 7 and he doesn't have strike. So what are you going to do if you come up against Glorfindel? But that, if you're not thinking that creatively, the answer is, oh, I'll take Barrow Whites and I'll paralyze him. I'll just spam loads of will at him until eventually he goes down. But there is a better, more finessed way of dealing with something like that. If you face Glorfindel, put Gullivar into a fight relatively nearby to where Glorfindel's fighting. Win your fight with Gullivar and hurl at Glorfindel. Glorfindel is then prone, he can't resist it. Next turn, you can go into Glorfindel with Gullivar. He's on the floor. There's no risk to you at all. He's only going to have 3 dice on the floor. And if he doesn't roll a 6, he's going to be having to spend might and burn might just to stay alive, because he can't risk you winning a fight against him. And on 3 dice, the odds aren't that high you get a 6. Even 5 pluses, you can often just get 3s and 4 highs with 3 dice. And he might have to burn all his might for it. He's got a Lord of the West reroll, fair enough. But there is answers to it. You don't even necessarily need to just go in with Gullivar. You've also got the no-risk play of throwing a Wild-Wide Chieftain into it. Glorfindel is unlikely to kill one of those all in one go anyway. There's different ways of playing against it, and you can also win on the scenario. You can win on playing with a big army. Shadow of Rudau's got a few nice little things. Curse and Wither him. If you wither Glorfindel and you get just 2 of them through, you've got him down to strength 2. He's not really much of a threat then. You can kind of just ignore him and he's not got any killing power anymore anyway. So let's build the list anyway for you. So let's get some werewolves in there. No worries, Dan. You're welcome, yeah. Have a good night. And welcome to the chat, Amarels. We will come on to your Minas Morgul and Host of the Witch King with a bit of card of action in there, absolutely. So Gullivar, let's get his warband built up. So a slight problem with this list is a banner, because Gullivar generally wants to be jumping around. It'll be actually relatively hard to keep the banner within range of Gullivar and where he wants to go and what he wants to do. But you don't really have much else that really needs a banner, because you're really not going to have these 2 in combat that much, probably. The only reason I picked Nasdaq over a captain, by the way, that extra 5 points, he's got better intelligence to be digging up stuff. You can send him to... He's literally a scavenger, so it makes sense he goes and digs up stuff in Treasure Hoard for you. You've got an extra fate point on him, making him a bit more survivable. And he's got heroic defense, which is really useful. Like, again, if you faced a Glorfindel, you could just put Nasdaq into him for a turn or 2 and hold him up. And this scavenger rule is just a nice little bonus thing to try and play around with for a bit of fun. So I don't think you want a banner in this list, personally. I don't think that is the right play. Let's continue building this, though. So, let's just put 1 Spectre in there. And then we can also just put in 3 bows, so you've got something. I'd probably just put bows in the other one, actually. No, I'll do that, that's fine. We'll put the bows in this one. Not spears, bows, thank you. Probably want some 2-handers in there, actually, as well, thinking about it. Just for the extra hitting power. Well, actually, let me keep that warband as it is and then just add in more to 2 of them. And then Nasdaq, we just want to fill out his warband now. So I think if we go 4 and 4, is there a way I could get another werewolf in there? I think 3 would have been really nice. Let's take a Spectre out for the minute. We'll find a way to get it back in a moment. The bows probably aren't going to do anything for you, but it could stop a heroic combat potentially for you. You could just get a really lucky shot that could save you somewhere. I do want 2 spectres, really. I think we go with just 2 werewolves. They are very expensive. So you look at that for a list at 650. 7 might is pretty good considering the army that you're running. Got a massive threat here. These go get objectives for you and give you mobility. Spectres pull stuff in for Gully to jump on. You've got loads of orcs to give you a lot of numbers. You've got the 3 bows that could do something lucky for you. 5 2-handers in the list as well. Nasdaq, Rude Hour. The only problem I see you having, and this is maybe something to consider, is if you face a terror army yourself, if you get some sort of mirror match, you've got a real problem of not being able to charge them, especially if they've got a Harbinger. You could always take a shade, and then orcs do get this +1 courage. So you'd go from 9+ back up to 8+. So you go from 28% chance of charging to 42. But if I'm honest, it's still crap either way. So it's probably not worth it. You just need to go in and hope you don't draw that. It's kind of an argument I make for Calm Dumb. People talk about Calm Dumb and say, or even like Host of the Witch King, don't take any Calm Dumb warriors. I disagree. I think you should, because yes, they're more expensive, but there's a few reasons they're more expensive and you are getting some benefits. 1, the strength 4, nice. But the biggest thing for me is they've got a +1 courage over an orc, and they re-roll all failed courage tests within 6 inches of Aldrak. Meaning you've got courage 7+, you have a 58% chance of passing the courage test, and even if you fail, you get another go at it. So your chances of actually passing a courage test with them is about 79%, compared to the orc that's at 42%. You're almost double, not quite, but you're almost double more likely to be able to charge. So if you face anything with terror, they're actually useful, and you've got that strength 4 as well as a little extra thing, and the +1 against heroes, which is not as important, but I think you need some of them. I don't think you take loads, but I think maybe 6 to 8 of them behind the lines, protected from shooting on the way in, as your reserve force that then can reliably do stuff for you later in the game. And if they do stick around to the late game, even if you lose a priority move off or something and they tag Aldrak, he still provides that auric benefit of them getting to reroll courage tests to stay around. Could be really helpful for you. Sorry, I've gone a bit of a tangent there, but I'm just talking about Angmar. And if I'm going to come on to Host of the Witch King in a minute as well, that'll be a similar story. Mark O'Brien, though, let's get on to your Kingdom of Rohan. And then we'll come on to your suggestions down here, Amarels, and also B Mangus as well. We'll move on to them. Yeah, glad you like it there, George. Let me know how you do with it if you do decide to take something like that. Turn up to another one of these and let me know. I'll be interested to hear. It definitely requires some finesse, and you need practice with it to get the most out of it, but it's a much more engaging, fun way of playing, and you'll feel a better sense of achievement winning that way than if you just turn up and spam paralyzes at somebody. There's no skill involved in that. It's just your 15 will or 20 will plowing into somebody that's only got 3. It's not fair. It's just not sustainable for them to be able to resist it. Yeah, as I say, it's a no skill way of playing, and I hate it. And I'd encourage anyone that wants to be a good player and improve in the game to not take easy shortcuts like that. Anyway, let's have a look at this then. So Kingdom of Rohan, let's just check the special rules for them. So they get a bonus strength when they charge. Most Rohan get that, good. And then you've got Horse Lord on a 5+. Okay, nice. So third in this list, Herogrim is a fantastic little rule, but it's only if it's at his models, his fight value. It does get to give you some Royal Guard, which is fantastic, and it's got a bigger stand fast. Just make sure you don't face Grima. Is there anyone else that can also lead Royal Guard? Gamling can. Can Irma? Irma can as well. And Theodred can. Right, okay. Considering none of your special rules are tied specifically to Theoden, I probably wouldn't take Theoden in the list, if I'm honest. Might be a bit of a controversial take, that, I don't know, but you do miss out on the potential free combats if you're doing that with Theoden, with Deerwine, but I'm not sure that's that important anyway. What points were we looking at for... You actually just asked me what I think is the optimal level, didn't you? Okay then, so Eomer is a very good leader for you. So let's go with Eomer. Theodred can do damage, but he's very easy to get killed. I probably wouldn't go with him. And it's not like it's his own list where he gets the free combat. I really like Elfhelm. He's now 3 attacks. Okay, he's only fight 4, but then he's got the... he can always re-roll everything with his shooting attack. I think Elfhelm is amazing. You want Gamling for his banner, and then I think you want Eowyn, but I don't know if she can take... Oh, she can't take Merry in this list, which makes sense. So let's say no to her then. So let's take these 3 and see how we do with that. So shield, throwing spear, and firefoot with armor, because it's better to have a D5 horse than a D4 horse. Now, a problem we're going to have is to do with throwing spears, but you want your throwing spears where it matters. So you want your throwing spears on them, really. You can get riders without throwing spears, but then you've got a dodgy bow list. But do they not count towards bows? Riders don't count towards bows. Right, okay, then there you go. So we're going to use them to get yourself Royal Guard. I'll sort that out in a minute. Let's get more of them up there. Do we want a banner in the list? I think you've got the banner of Gamling, so no, absolutely not. Don't be a fool. I did select horse and throwing spears, I did, yeah, good. That looks pretty damn good to me. You got 20 bows. Now that how it builds with the bows not counting towards your bow limit. This encourages you to play this army in a really horrible, nasty way. I don't think you need to do it that way. I don't think you need to play it that way. Yeah, thanks, Mark. There you go. Yeah. So they don't count, and outriders, you can take them on foot. This encourages you to play in a really nasty way. I think what you'd want to do ideally is just shoot as you move up the board and try and be aggressive. When you engage with your opponents, you've got all the throwing spears on the models you'd like to have the throwing spears. I would really only be engaging your opponent's front line with your 2, maybe 3 heroes plus your Royal Guard. Keep the riders behind the line as a reserve force, far enough away that they can't charge you, but you can charge them, counter-charging them if they decide to try and wrap and trap your Royal Guard and heroes. That would be my advice. Because they're the ones that will die in combat very, very easily if you just let them lose a move off and get charged. And if you do counter-charge, I'd probably say you don't want to send all 20 riders of Rohan in a counter-charge. Send them in groups, in waves. So if you go in first turn and charge with all your Rohan Royal Guard, keep these 20 in reserve. The turn after, if you lose the move off, or don't even contest it if you want, draw them in almost like a bit of a gambit, and then charge maybe with 8 or 10 of them counter-charging, but still leave yourself some more for the following turn. And then if they then try and wrap and trap the next wave that's come in, you hit them with another wave. And it just means you've constantly always got something charging. You can also then conserve your 7 might quite well. And in the late game, you can they've got to contest it every turn. If you win priority, they have to call it because they can't risk you just charging. So you could almost use that against them. Let them burn their resources, save your might for the end game when you can actually control things and use might to then make sure everything charges. That would be my advice, Mark. I think this looks pretty good for 833 all mounted is very, very good. You got a load of D6 in there. But yes, you need to get yourself a lot of dismounts. Yeah, good luck with that, mate. I've set you a little chore now for the next couple of months. Anyway, right, let's move on to the next one. So we've got Amarels. Hopefully he's still here. We'll go for Host of the Witch King and Minas Morgul. So let's start with Minas Morgul. It's a simpler one to build from past experience of building it. I thought this was going to be a big list for me this year, but I didn't find it that fun to run, if I'm honest. Personal recommendation, you don't really see anyone else do this. I wouldn't take the Morgul Blade on the Witch King, but I would take the two-handed weapon. You can still fight without the two-handed weapon in most fights, but on the key moment where you really need to guarantee the damage against something, take the two-handed weapon because you're likely fishing for a 6 anyway against something big. And if you get it, and maybe he has help and support with him as well, you'll get the 6 on the dual roll. It's more than about getting the damage through. If you take Morgul Blades, other than the Balrog, almost everything else that you will fight, as soon as you say, I'm going to use my Morgul Blade, that strike gets nullified by their fate anyway, so it doesn't do anything for you. It's just a waste of 10 points, in my opinion. So I wouldn't take it. I think you definitely want a second ring wraith with no equipment or anything. Get Kardash in there for a bit of fun. And then I don't think there's any... Oh no, this is one where if they're near a spirit, they do pass courage. So yeah, we don't need a shaman in the list. I forgot about that. So yeah, we don't need a shaman. I think we just get captains in there. Could maybe go for the Morannon captain, strength 5 base. I know the Orc captain is the one that gets the extra Blades of the Dead. This one does get a slight fight value increase though, which could be useful if you come up against like Men of the West. Like you did say you were playing 800. You are likely to come up against Men of the West. So I'd maybe take it as Morannon captain. Let's see what it's like with 2 Morannon captains. So strength 5, even without the Blades of the Dead, they're still wounding well. So let's get some things built. There is also the choice, you could get a Mordor Troll with a drum in this list, which could be very useful for the army. Let's drop a captain, and I will put that in because I think that is a decent option for you. The war drum on the troll. You've also got Morgul Stalkers in this list. Does it just say just Mordor Orcs? Mordor Orc Warriors get Blades of the Dead, so not the Morgul Stalkers, which is annoying. But I probably still would take a few of them. I've been very, very impressed with them. Let's get 6 of those. 6 with Spear. Take a couple of Spectres. And I would take a couple of Stalkers as well. Now, you don't really see anyone use these. I've started using these and I've done well at tournaments with them. I love them. They're 2 attacks on a very, very small base. If you send the Witch King into something big, it's really nice having these guys that can go into the fight with you just to get you extra dice. So there we go, that's that warband. I think you want Morans in front of him to make sure he's not getting shot. So I would take some Morans for D6 to protect you from a bit of shooting. You could maybe make the same argument for Kardash, if I'm honest. I realise I'm going over what you wanted. So points-wise, I think we drop the troll. I think we go for just a normal Mordor Orc drummer. And I will then put that Marana Orc captain back in. So I think we get some Maranans in for him. Again, to protect him. Spears in the back. And then we can fill out his warbands. He's now a D7 captain, which is nice. Always nice to have a D7. If you manage to dismount a big hero of your opponents, you can then throw him into them if they're just stuck at strength 4, and he will just hold them up beautifully. Do that. Have we got space up there? No. Ringwraith's got a 2 extra. I'm going to put another 2 stalkers in. I love them. Now, if you have a look at that list there, 56 models, 800 points. 7 might. You've got so much damage potential in there with Blades of the Dead. You've got 2 casters. You've got a really threatening leader. You've got 2 spectres to pull stuff towards them. 2 spirits to give you a bit of fearless. A drummer to get you up the board. 5 Morgul stalkers to flank or defend your back line if anyone tries to break through into your Ringwraiths. You've got Kardush to do his flame burst. He would maybe dismount stuff, which is fantastic. And if you do dismount them, you've got a D7 Marana Orc captain that can then hold them up. I'll be honest, mate, I actually would include Kardush at Emeralds. I think it's a good profile. I'd be quite happy with him. Like, you don't really need the Fury on him, but having the Flame Burst is just really, really useful. He casts it on a 3, I believe, doesn't he? Casts it on a 3. It's a strength 6 hit. It also does it up and down. So if you come up against any mounted heroes, it's great. And it's just a free chance at doing damage every turn. And all right, he's only got 3 will, and you need to eat some of your own guys around him. Probably just like these spears and stuff, or the cheap Orc warriors. But yeah, a 3+ every turn to then do a strength 6 hit to something. Most things you'll be wounding on a 4 or lower. In which case, it's a 50-50 chance every turn you're just dealing a wound to something. Only thing you got to be aware of is he's only D4 2 wounds. So you've just got to make sure you keep him at least 2 or 3 ranks safe to make sure he's always moving and not getting tagged every turn. So yeah, that's the Minas Morgul I'd go with. I think that's the right way of building it, with Kardush in it as well. It also gives you a bit of personality. He's a fun character. Anyway, right, shall we move on to your Host of the Witch King one now? Let's have a look at that. So Host of the Witch King. Now, this ties into what I was talking to Jord about earlier, which is you don't need to run Barrow Wights for this list to be competitive. This list has everything you could possibly want without needing to take Barrow Wights. It's completely redundant. I also really like the Tainted. 2 special rules on the Tainted. Before the heroic actions are declared, you can spend a will point. And if you do, all warrior models, friendly and enemy, within 6 of the Tainted don't benefit from stamina, may not take part in any heroic actions. Now, if you're going to play at 800 points and you come up against Men of the West LSR, which is very common at high points levels, he will regularly be using his free point of might every turn to call a heroic move. If you have the Tainted nearby, just behind your lines, you spend this will point, he can call all the heroic moves he wants every turn, but the only things that are moving with him are other heroes. All his warriors stay still. So every turn you win priority, you can just declare this miasmatic presence, and you will completely stop his heroic moves in a certain area of the battlefield. You can also use it if you break an enemy and you're not broken yourself, to stop them getting standfasts off. So he's quite an interesting one, and a double caster gives you a lot of options. So I think that's the 3 I'd go with, and then maybe just a cheap captain or something somewhere. I think personally I'd be tempted. I like Frecht. I'd put Frecht in there. Tainted on the horse as well. His other special rule is anyone touching him at the beginning of the fight phase, friendly and enemy, you can roll a 1, and if you do, it gives them a wound automatically. It can be useful to keep him protected. So this is what I'd do. I think I've spoken earlier about Carndum. I would take some Carndum to be a front line. Maybe let's do 6, and I'd give 4 to Frecht, something like that. And ideally, you want them two to be working together. And then you want the orcs behind them as the space supports. So 4 of them there, 6 of them there. We'll give them a banner as well. I think you do want a banner in this list to back up Aldrak. And then over here, I think you want, let's say, 2 werewolves, 2 spectres. We are getting a bit high on points though. Maybe you can't afford that many Carndum. Let's make it 4 and 4 like that. So we need to get your model count up. Maybe we can't have Frecht. Could also downgrade Tainted to the Shadow of Rudauer, because he's still a nice little toolbox for you. You got the Shade as an option as well. Dominant 3, Blades are dead. Good courage to stick around for you. 2 attacks. You can choose to improve the casting roll as well. And you improve courage of orcs as well. If you did that then though, you maybe don't need the Carndum. Is Rudauer a better option? I like Rudauer for his little toolbox options that he provides you, so let's do that. And we'll put him to back up to 6. So let's get some Orc Warriors in there. So go with a 4 and a 4 there for him. And up at the top over here, we need to get him a warband now. So let's, I go 4 of them as well. And then we'll probably get a couple of those. Yeah. I don't like the points coming out like that. One Orc bow just for a bit of a bit of luck. Something like that for me. You've got, it's only 45 models. Maybe I should try and push it up just a little bit. Let's just revisit that in a moment. I think you definitely want a couple of werewolves in there like that. Maybe 3 spectres is too much, but they're good objective cappers as well, so they've got extremely good courage. That's my thought process there. I think we will need to just drop that down to 4, and we can increase this up then. But I'm still running a bit weird on the points. Forget the shooting. Go to that. 3rd Spectre in, 46 models. There we go. It's only 1 more, but I think that looks better to me. You're not going to be doing much shooting anyway. 3 Spectres gives you more tricks. I think you'll hold up long enough that you can get your heroes do a lot of work. Aldrak will do a lot of work for you. You've got a great spellcaster here. You've got another little annoyance here. He will help protect you from taking as much damage as well for the Carndum, with the 5+ save you can give them as well. What do you think of that, mate? Does that kind of satisfy you there? 9 might, potential free combats as well. So, Beam Angus will come onto your muster of Isengard at 850. Yeah, we'll have a look at that for you in a moment. Jackster, I think you've been on these liveless buildings before, so welcome back. AGE, is that Army of the Great Eye, or is there another abbreviation that I'm missing? You just confirm that for me. And Ziploc Bag, welcome. What do you think about Osgiliath Veterans? I think they tried to improve them this edition, but I don't see that much value to them. But we can come on to them if there's a particular list you'd like me to look at. and a points level, just post it in here, mate, and we'll have a look for you in a few minutes. I'll just get through Beam Angus with Muster of Isengard, what he wants to look at there, and then we'll get on to Jackster with Great Eye. Absolutely. So, right, let's get on to Muster of Isengard. So 800 points. We take Grimmer and Saruman, obviously. You've got to do that. In terms of your options, I think Vrasku, because he's just very, very good shooting hero. For evil, I think you want to take him. Shaman's aren't really going to do a great deal for you. I don't really think you need the Fury. Transfix, you got it from Saruman anyway. You're not going to need any of that. I think Drummer might be a good idea. But then you do get the free march at the beginning of this. But then for the rest of it, it could be useful. We'll see how we build it in a minute. In terms of the captains, Scout Captain's much lower, but he does have a two-handed weapon. But he's already strength 5. I think strength 5 is good enough. So let's get a captain in there. You said 850, didn't you? So let's build that. So let's get a crossbow contingent in there with him. Let's see how that goes. Let's put me at 525. I think that's too many. Let's not do that. I don't think you want to be a shooting army too much. I'd also be very aware of Vrasku not to waste his might. Don't leave it at the back of the board at the end of the game. So we do want some Berserkers. I think you also want Uruk-hai Warriors with shield. And then I'd go with 8 pikes. And then a banner. So ideally, what I'd say is on the way in, I would have the 4 Uruk-hai Warriors at the front, 2 lines of pikes behind them, and then keep the Berserkers at the back. Once the lines engage, I would then move the Berserkers round the flanks and then back them up with pikes and then use the Uruk-hai at the front to shield. They will hold up the opponent and keep them in place. And then Berserkers on the flanks can do damage for you with the fight 5 and the supports and then the banner behind them. That warband is a major threat. And then over here, I just think you want to fill out some numbers, really. So I think, again, you can follow a similar sort of idea. 4 of them, and then maybe 2 Berserkers at the back. I might just copy that exact warband. Oh, we've gone to 875 now. Just too high. Maybe just a single Berserker in... I think I'm almost there with how I want it. It doesn't quite match perfectly. Curious about crossbows and scout bows. You make a good point, actually, you know. So you might be better having a small crossbow contingent that will stand and shoot together, and then you've got a flanking force that could move and shoot. You might be making an excellent point there. So you just got to make sure that it works out right. Because really, these warbands just want to join with Saruman's, if I'm honest. Make that 3. So I'm not happy with how I'm doing this at the minute. I want the points to work better than they are doing. 3 of them to flank, 3 of them to stand. That might be the one. Yeah, there we go. I think I'll be quite happy with that. Only 7 bows though, but it's 8 shots. and they're very dangerous shots. Because the thing is, you don't want to be just a shooting army. This army wants to engage and fight. You've got the march on the captains to get them up the board quick. We've got you 8 berserkers in here that you want to protect on the way in. I think the Urukai with shield are very, very important to the list. So the fact we've got 8 of those in fear, they're your D6 to hold the line, while your berserkers can go around the sides. I think you just want this little 3 to do a little flank and offer a bit of a threat while they move towards objectives. Vraska and the crossbows can defend your backline. And what I'd do is mid-game, maybe move Vraska up so he's actually joining the fight and you're using his might. Something like that. That's pretty good, I'd say. I think the only thing I'd maybe consider is you could maybe increase these Urukai scout bows up to 6 or 9 of them. But then bear in mind, if you're doing that, you then give yourself a lot of D4 weak units that can die very easily. So I think maybe 3 to 6 is the right number. But play around with it a little bit. I don't know how many berserkers you own. Maybe you don't want 8 berserkers. Maybe you go down to 6. I think 6 would be absolutely fine. And then you could get more scouts in and you might be able to increase your model count up just a little bit. If we did just reduce both of those down to just 1, that is another 30 points for us. You could then... Yeah, the numbers, it doesn't quite work out great for the maths, getting you to 850. But you're not far off. You could even make it 4 and 5 like that. But you've only gained an extra model. I don't think you've gained that much by having 10 shots instead of 8. 11 shots instead of 8, and you've lost 2 berserkers now. So I think you're probably better sticking to what I had the first time there. I think that is the better build, adding those 2 in. Anyway, there you go. Yeah, glad that helped you there, Beamangus. Let's move on to Ziploc bag. Okay. Oh no, Jackster. Sorry, Jackster with the great eye. Personal favourite of mine. Thank you for suggesting. So, do you have any prerequisites? Anything that you're really wanting, including Jackster? Let me know if there's any particular profiles, heroes that you absolutely can't live without. Otherwise, I will definitely build what I know and believe is the best list for this. I'll give you 30 seconds. Dark Marshal and Rosgush. Yes, mate. That is the 2 I would have chosen as well. Fantastic choices. Get yourself a Bat Swarm. Get yourself a Drummer. Now we're going to 800 here. So we've already spent now 335 on those. And you want to make sure you've got a good list. You also need some might. So you've got a few choices to make here. We can't really afford to get in another big hero, or we're really going to be down on points and might. I think we've got to go for 2 smaller ones. So Gorbag will give you 3 might. But if you think at the minute, we've got 5 at the moment. If we get up to 9 might with just 2 characters with 2 might each, we're probably okay. So to give yourself a bit of hitting power, I think I might pick Zagdush in this case. He's very similar to Gorbag, but he's always 3 attacks. He doesn't have to be outnumbered. He can also adjust his strength to be strength 5, so when you actually need to do damage, whereas Gorbag is stuck at strength 4. So I'd maybe advise at 800 points, you get Zagdush in there, and Guritz. Guritz, again, extra hitting power, and he helps you on... gets +1 fight against men. There's a lot of men armies out there. And also, he helps you on Maelstrom games. Now, then what I will do is... we'll put him Platinum Annoying Knight. And then we'll get a couple of Platinum Annoying Warriors, maybe 4 of them. Now, you might wonder why I'm putting them in the list. The reason is they are better on courage and intelligence than their Orc brethren. They're better at holding objectives for you. They also cause terror. Now, it's not always going to make a difference for you, the terror, But when it does, it just causes your opponent a problem. If you lose move-offs and they move first, they've got to consider, oh, there's these things here that cause terror that I've got to charge. It's a bit of a problem for your opponent. No idea what just happened there. What just happened? Sorry about that. My list just... What the hell just happened? Okay, there we go. It just glitched for some reason and closed my tabletop roll. Now, I absolutely swear by and love Morgul Stalkers. I really have been enjoying using them lately. They're very, very good. Behind the lines. Let's get him a decent sized warband there, and then get him a couple of two-handers for a little bit of extra damage potential. And then even more so, let's just give him some trackers as well for a little bit of shooting threat and to sit on an objective at the back of your board. Now, Guritz, we're at 662 points now, so I've got to start being careful. If we give him, let's go 6, see if I can fit it in. They give you a bit of D6 on the way in. They also get fight value bonuses against men. And then you want, this is your reserve hit squad. So, see how many we can get into these. That looks bloody good to me. Right, I humbly offer you this, Jackster. I think this ticks every box for you. This is a tournament winning list, in my opinion. I might even try running this exact list myself at 800 next time I have an 800 event. I'd maybe try and get 2 knights in over 1. We're at 52 models, actually. We've done better than I thought we would. I might just make a slight adjustment there to try and get one of them in. I don't want to drop any Morgul Stalkers. They are really useful. So I think it's a case I need things to add up. So if I take the Morannons down, I can then take off 2 Orcs. Yeah, I know it doesn't quite get perfect maths like the other one was 800 at 52. I'd go with that, mate. That's the one to me. Dark Marshal has Aura of Command. It gives you a 6-inch Fearless bubble. Incredible leader for you. He can also be a 6-inch banner for you. You have a banner built into the list with the Great Eye if it stays around, which it doesn't most of the time in my experience. Black Numenorians give you a nice little D6 fight for frontline in this little warband to protect him. Morgul Stalkers, use them a bit like the Berserkers I described on the Muster of Isengard list. Keep them at the back early on. Bring them round to flank or also to countercharge your opponent's flank. Drummer lets you move around the board quick. Bat Swarm and Razgush give you an answer to everything. Got a nice strong warband here, a couple of two-handers, Orc trackers to sit on objectives, 2 big hitting heroes. You've got 9 might as a result of them being in there. Morannons give you some more D6 and fight 4 against men. Yeah, that is the one in my opinion. You probably could make this a little more elite and lower your numbers to answer your question there about how many models do I think you need at 800. I'd say you want to be in the mid-40s minimum. But because it depends how you build it. So if you're building this to be more elite, if you took more Black Numenorians and more Morannons, you could probably run this list at 45, 46 models. For it to be at its most competitive, I think you want about this 50 to 52 for this quality of army. You're not the highest fight value army. Your spear supports are all very, very weak. You are going to lose them when you do lose move-offs. People wrap into them, or maybe bits on the front line have died and exposed them. Yeah, I think 48 to 52 is what you need to have. I think these 2 heroes are the best 2 to choose, 100%. And then I'd say it's between these 2 and Gorbag and Goroth. You could take Goroth for the extra hitting power instead of Zagdush. He's a bit more survivable than Zagdush as well. But then you're losing 25 points doing that. You could also put in Gorbag over Zagdush, but then he doesn't do as much damage. And then it's just a case of where's your damage coming from? Because he's stuck at strength 4. He's stuck at strength 4. Gorbag will be stuck at strength 4. Your only hitter would be Gerritz and your Morgul Knights charging and like two-handers and stuff. I think you need at least 2 heroes of your 4 that can reliably do damage from strength 5 or higher, which these 2 can. That's a tournament winning list, mate, I would say. Let me know how you got on with it and if that's what you choose to use or practice with. Right then, Ziploc bag. We're going to talk about your Osgiliath veterans now. So reclamation of Osgiliath we're talking about. Okay. Let's go on to that then for you. So reclamation of Osgiliath. So you have to take Boromir. He's got the 6-inch banner in this list that is gives you fight 4.5. I think you want to take him with all the trimmings. Faramir goes in with nothing, does he? But they get to share stats, I believe. Once per game, you can get +1 to wound. And they can spend each other's might, will, and fate. So you can make him 9 might. Really, Faramir's there just to top up Boromir and make him amazing. But if we're talking about doing this at 500 points, I don't think you take Faramir, do you? These old veterans, they're still D6 instead of D7. They're not any real better, other than they've got better courage than the warriors. And because you've got no Warhorn or anything like that in the list, I think they are quite useful in this list. D6 is still excellent. I think you'd go Boromir and Madril for this list. I'd build a front line of Oz veterans. Oh, not with them. Can he lead? Oh, I didn't mean to duplicate that. Can he lead veterans? He can. So we can make them quite balanced warbands, which is good. So take them with shields. They're not good with the bows, are they? I'm assuming they're just like normal. 6 of those with him. Might have to just reduce that a little bit, and then we can get some knights in. Oh, we're already at 500 odd. My apologies. I got a bit overzealous with it. Oh, I missed out by 1 point. So they're 10 points. Whereas a warrior with a shield is less. So let's make his warband bigger. And then make his smaller. Because he's not really prone to coming on the board in a bad position. Because he's got his maelstrom anyway. Got too many bows, haven't I? Okay. And just that is not going to resolve that, is it? Right. Really, you've got so much might on the board here. You're relying on Boromir doing a lot for you. You kind of just want to hold out and survive till then, if I'm honest. So if we knock that down to 2, we might be better doing it. It'd be weird that he's the ranger and he's got no rangers in his list, in his warband. But I think that might be the way to go, perhaps. That'd only be 7 bows now. Can I get an extra ranger in there so he's got at least 1? Yes, I can do that. That looks pretty good to me. I'd probably put that ranger in the other the other warband. It's a bit weird that got too many shields, but I think that's quite useful, to be fair. It'll stop people flanking into your rangers. Oh, Warhorn on Boromir. Right, okay, nice. So that means that you basically turn the Osgiliath veterans then into an elf. Horn of Gondor, obviously, a unique Warhorn. Yeah, what am I on about? Silly fool. You can't lead Citadel Guard, though, even though you're the leader of Citadel Guard in this list. That's unfortunate. Yeah, it feels like you're a little low, but you're paying a lot for Boromir, but he's worth it. You've got 9 might at only 500 points. There's not much that's going to be able to stop him. The D6 on these and the D7 here will really hold together. They can protect your flanks. They are in the middle. The Rangers do a bit of shooting on the way in. And then 3 knights as well. Pretty good. You could always try and take some of the knights out. Maybe put it down to 2 and increase up more of these Warriors of Minas Tirith with shield and spear. Just so then that your Rangers can actually do a little bit of flanking force themselves if you wanted. So you could play around with that a little bit. Like if I just do it now, just quickly. If we do that, knock out one of the Rangers here. And let's get rid of them. So let's put it doing properly. So there we go. Still at the same model count, but I've maybe just improved your survivability there. These can go behind the Oz veterans mostly. We can maybe change it actually further. Let's get rid of all the Oz veterans there. Make that 7. So now you've got the choice. So you can have the Oz veterans here with the warriors behind them, or you can have the Rangers behind either the Oz veterans with these guys guarding your flanks and supporting each other. I think maybe that would be the better build. Yeah, it's very themey, isn't it? I think this is the one list where the Oz veterans actually have decent value to them. If you come against Mordor list, you're getting the +1. And yeah, they're getting the reroll 1s, which is nice. You've got the banner and a half to make them fight 4.5. And with his Warhorn, they're basically elves, so you've got no problem charging stuff at the front. I think that's the biggest thing for me. People underrate how good courage is, even just +1 difference. All right, they're losing a defense, but D6 is amazing anyway. So having that, I'd much rather have +1 courage than +1 defense on my troops. It matters more to me. I need people to reliably be able to charge and to stay around, rather than having that extra 1 defense. So yeah, there we go, mate. Hopefully that helps you. Now, Imerals, you were commenting there about Great Eye 800 with Witch King on Fellbeast. We can have a look at that for you. I don't think it's the most optimal way to do it, but we can have a look at it. And in terms of Morgul Stalkers, I'd say there's a particular tactic for all 2-attack infantry models, which is you don't want them taking any damage on the way in. So before you engage your opponent, you don't want them anywhere near the front line. Like Iron Guard in Khazad-dûm, Berserkers in Isengard, Morgul Stalkers in Mordor. They do not want to be on your front line. That is not what they're there for. The best way of using them is their very small infantry base allows you to get a lot of attacks into a small place. So when you want to get a heroic combat off for definite, or when you really want to put damage into a combat, or you need to put as many dice into a combat as possible to make sure you definitely roll that 6 that your hero in the fight needs to make sure they win it and don't have to waste might, so they can then do the damage to it. That's what they need to be used for. Behind the lines, let lines engage, and then on the turn after you've engaged for the first time, that's when you want to be wrapping them in. to the key battles, key fights. I use them in particular for, in my Great Eye list, you want to get one of my big heroes, that's my hitter or my striker, in with a bat swarm against an enemy hero. And then I want to get as many Morgul Stalkers with spear supports in the fight as possible. And that means I have so many dice to guarantee I get that 6 with my fight value advantage. I win the fight and then I just absolutely massacre them. They get mutilated with so many dice. And it guarantees you flash kills on big things. They're not amazing. They're only fight 3. They're only defense 4. They do die quite easily if you lose fights, if they're fighting by themselves. But if you use them well and learn to pick and choose where you put them, they can really do work for you. And especially in the late game as well, I find when things are more scattered, you can send them into something in a one-on-one. They're 2 dice against 1. 2 dice will beat 1 most of the time, even if they've got a fight value advantage on you. And then 2 dice at strength 4, you're likely to kill whatever you're fighting. And there's nobody in a shield wall late game, usually. So there you go. That's my little discussion about 2 attack models. Hope that helped. So Great Eye then. So Witch King on his Fell Beast. So it's very expensive. Fell Beast is D6 anyway. Most shooting is strength 3. I'm not wasting 10 points on an armoured one. But then what would I take with that if I was building to 800 points? If we're building it a bit differently to other lists, I think Razgush still makes a lot of sense. There's a lot of elf lists out there. He lets you bring a Bat Swarm. I think Razgush makes a lot of sense. Then we're already at 355, and we've got 6 might on the board, so we probably just want 1 more. We've got a big hitter in Fell Beast now, so you probably can just go with Gorbag. And then you've got 400 points to get out some nice elite stuff. We want a drummer in there again. I think you want to definitely include him to get yourself going. Moranon's in this warband with shield. Auto Warriors with a spear. And then we've got 1 extra place for something. Maybe just drop in a Felwag. You could always go double Bat Swarm as well, but I'll build it like this for now. With him, get us some Black Numenorians in there again. I think you don't want loads of them, but you want some. Mordor Auto Warriors with spears again. And then get some Black Numenorian Knights in there. Maybe 3 of them. And then, again, we've got some place for some beautiful Morgul Stalkers. And then Mr. Gorbag can be my little reserve force hitting power with some 2-handed weapon guys. Spears. And not quite there for some Stalkers. Disappointing. If we do that. Oh, 1 point short. Get rid of that Felwag. Turn him into a tracker. There we go. Something like that. So, thanks for the message there. Love all the videos. Glad you like the new one, the cool mix of history and MESBG. I had that video completed and ready about 3 weeks ago now. I was so chomping at the bit to actually get it recorded, and have so many things that come up in life that I needed to deal with quickly in a short space of time, so had to wait. But glad you enjoyed it. I'll try and do some more like that. I'll maybe have to go further back in history. I don't think you can go any more modern than early 1700s before Middle-earth strategy can no longer apply to it. So I'll maybe look at some Alexander the Great battles, like I discussed in an earlier formations video when I discussed like Battle of Gaugamela. I could look at the Battle of Ipsus or something like that. Or I might look at some Crusade battles. There were some interesting tactics utilised back then as well. But yeah, this looks like a good list to me. You've got loads of D6 in there. We've got 2 really strong frontline warbands. We've got plenty of mobility, got big hitting power here. We've got Bat Swarm to work with the Fell Beast. Razgush is awesome. Loves killing elves. Got a random tracker for a bit of potluck. 6 Morgul Stalkers, providing you the counter-charge hitting power, and then Gorbag with the little reserve warband that can plug up holes or do extra damage for you. There we go. What do you think of that? Or were there any other heroes that you really wanted to see included in there? Anyway, that's the end of that one. Let me know in the chat, guys. I think I've caught up with everything now, so you'll have to let me know if there's anything else you're wanting to see. And again, you'll be at the top of my list. I'll just give you all 30 seconds if you're typing something out. So apologies if there is silence for a minute. All right, then. Well, just had somebody else join in the chat there, whoever that is, welcome. If you've got any lists or points you want me to look at, post in the chat there and I will give it a build for you. I've just caught up with everyone's requests, so you'll be top of the list. Just let me know if you want to. If not, I'll maybe give it one more minute. If there is no more requests, then I'll probably end it there. It's been good and enjoyed it. But yeah, I could do another 40 odd minutes, probably max. But if everyone's kind of got what they needed from it tonight, and it's been great fun, it's been non-stop. Yeah, all right then. We'll leave it there then, guys. Well, hope you all got something out of that. Enjoyed it. Look out for more videos and Spotify podcasts on YouTube, on Birdie's World and Birdie's World Tournament Log. And yeah, if you like what I've done here, I've got Patreon as well. There's links for all 3 things I've just mentioned on this video. And yeah, take care, guys. Enjoyed that. Have a nice evening. Take care.